So then we go on with another couple of questions, which keeps it moving here. I work with spiritual healers who say they simply act as conduits, that is, channels for the God force which heals. They do not use their own energy. They also have spirit guides and helpers who assist. Could you please clarify for me? And then he's got a colon there, but I'd like to talk about spirit guides. Now, it is true that in the psychic world, where anything you like is possible, that it is popular to have spirit guides, right? So there's no doubt that in the psychic world, you can have a spirit guide if you believe in it enough and want it. You can have a spirit guide. You can have, as a guy I met recently, a healer, he had 9, I think, spirit guides, and that's fair enough. You can have any number you like. I don't have any spirit guides, right? Because what do you want a spirit guide for? Now, what do you want the spirit... Anyone who's a psychic and has spirit guides, I want to know what you want a spirit guide for. What do they do? Do they live your life for you? Do they stop you from making mistakes when you should make a mistake because you've got to learn from your mistakes? Do they stop that? Why do you want a spirit guide? Why can't you just be what you are without having to have some intervention of angels and spirit guides and all sorts of nonsense, psychic nonsense? Now, I do not deny that it exists in a part of the cone, the psyche. The psychic world is an extraordinary place. You can have anything, and if you die, many people die straight into the psychic world, and all that they dreamed of and wanted as a deep inner imagining from their being, their self inside, they go there, you know, beautiful mountains, anything you like, you can have the lot. Jesus, Buddha, you can have anything you want. Now that's the truth of the psyche. And you can have spirit guides, and you can have anything you like, and that is the psyche. So I can't say it doesn't exist, because I had many visions and many things happened to me through the psyche and used to speak to me. I can't deny it, and I wouldn't deny all the clairvoyants who see through the psyche and see through the psyche into the future, because the psyche contains the past and the future. So a true psychic who's able to, as much as they can, is able to go into the energy of the person that's present and go into themselves and speak about the past with remarkable accuracy and about the present with also remarkable accuracy. And also they make mistakes, but the fact is that they get some right, and that demonstrates that there is a place in the psyche which has the past and the future accessible to it, and these people who have that particular skill are able to do that. So I do not deny that world. But in the spirit you have to go through the psychic world. And as I said, I've been through it. I've been right into it and through it, although I didn't spend a great deal of time there. It just happened to me. It happened to me. I didn't go into automatic writing and channeling and all that area of the psyche, which people can get trapped in and think that that's the spirit, and of course it's not. I went through mostly with being told what was going to happen to me and all those sort of things, psychic voices and psychic things, which I never acted on, but I always listened to. But eventually, all those things go. As I've often said about Krishnamurti, you know, when he was a young man and going through it and under the influence of the Theosophical Society, which was filled with psychic stuff about higher masters and all the channelers and the higher masters, I've forgotten all their names, and Krishnamurti used to travel up in his sleep and meet them and then come down and report to his companions or the people who were instructing him through the Theosophical Society. And then, after all, then he went through that but he didn't get very straight with it. He didn't eliminate it, because when they asked him later, well, what about all the masters and those things? And he'd say, I forget. I've forgotten all that, you know, because you have to pass through it. It's not the truth. But while you're there, it is the truth, but they're not true at all. The only truth is God, and God is nothing, and that is the spirit. And so I say that when I die, and as you heard someone say about survival the other day, I think it was I forget who it was, I don't want to be a survivor. That's right. I'm not going to survive. I don't want to carry forward what I've got now, which is what survival is. I want to, as far as I'm concerned, I just disappear into nothing and never to be seen again. And that is the spirit, disappear into God. And that's where I, as far as I am involved, that's where I shall go, or shall be, or am. So what do you want a spirit guide for? Would anyone like to tell me what a spirit guide is for? Because they just want to disabuse you of these ideas, these crazy ideas. What are they going to do? They're going to influence your decisions. Well, why do you want somebody to influence your decisions? You can ask and seek advice here and do your best, which is all we are all doing. So these very notions are false. They're false because you don't know what you want a spirit guide for. You want them to live your life for you? Well, what are they doing there without bodies? Why don't they get down here and live their life? Why do they want to know more than you do and don't have to be responsible for it? They don't have bodies. Here we have bodies, they've got to be responsible for it. You don't need any spirit guides. What you need is good common sense, a sense of the good and the right and the true, a sense of God, and do your best so that you work out your karma, a word that I'll be talking about later, because it's an Indian word, and that's the other Indian word that I do use. So yes, healers. Is healing an event from within the sick person, personal responsibility, or is it because of the universal energy flowing into the sick person, which is more passive? Well, what is healing? I don't know. First of all, you can't have any, as it says there, any self-projection in healing. You can't do anything. You can't have a thought. If you touch someone and in love or absence, well, any of you might heal them. Who knows? Who knows what you're going to do? Everybody's a healer, and that's not to say there are not healers. So I can't really, women have had menstrual pains and menstrual floodings, and then into the meetings they say they've never had them again from the meeting. Well, did I heal them? No. I can do nothing. All I can do is be present. And, I don't go very much on trying to heal, or I go more on, yes, if you feel that you can heal another, then that is good. But it must not have any willfulness, any egoicness in it. And of course, some people say, well, we don't charge because that would be to sully it. I don't know that sullies it. I don't know that. I think that's a mental idea, that to charge for healing, if it were necessary, everybody's got to live, even the healer. Everybody's got to live. Everybody needs it. Every labourer is worthy of his toil, as it is said in the Old Testament or somewhere down there. So, what's wrong? Stop being self-conscious about being worthy of your toil. Like the truth, people say to me, why do you charge like you do? Why do you do it? The truth is free. And I say to them, how do you know the truth is free? Where did you get that silly idea? Another statement of the ridiculous, soppy, sentimental idea of God and love and truth. Who says the truth is free? I've never known the truth to be free. Never. Because I know that you have to pay in terrible suffering to get rid of yourself to get the truth. Terrible suffering to get rid of yourself. That's how you pay in suffering, pain, or you pay in love. And love is not a payment, but love, you have to pay in love, you pay in suffering or pain, or you pay in service. You get and you find something to serve, and you make your pygmy and you're one that wants to resist it. You just serve and serve and serve, which is, of course, a form of love. But that's a payment. And you pay to the Most High. You pay to the truth itself. You pay with your own willfulness, with your own resistance, with your own can't be botheredness, with your own I get tired of itness. You pay with that. Everybody pays. And I say that anybody who doesn't want to pay doesn't have to come to me. They can go and get it where it's free. The only trouble is, where is it free? Where is it free? It's not free. Or you're paying money, whatever it is, because money is the currency of the world, and love is the currency of the other world. So, you are against humans acting as channels. Was Munessa's experience of ETIs a channeling or possession? Well, Munessa, you'll remember, I forget, Munessa had an experience in which she saw a spaceship and she saw a woman sitting in the door of the spaceship. Whether this was a vision or real, who cares? This is what she said she saw, and she could report on it. And she saw a woman, and the woman there then entered her, and she became a different woman. She had two women in her. Now, is that a channel or a possession? That's neither. That's an event. It's just like when I described the experience that I had with that vision with the woman. That is an event. Is it real? Is it channeling? Is it possession? I couldn't care less. The fact is, it's an event. And if you start judging events and trying to analyze them with your stupid mind that's conditioned by New Ageness, Theosophy, and all the rest of the Eastern bullshit, you won't know the truth, because there is no truth. If you have a vision and you actually have it, and you are there in your own experience and you have it, then that's the truth as far as it's the truth. It doesn't have to be verified, although your mind will say, I must have imagined it, and the mind will go on and relate to something else and say, it must have been that. No, it's what it is. It's what it is. So, everything is what it is. There's no need to analyze it with your mind. Nobody knows the truth. Nobody. It's impossible to say the truth. It's impossible to know the truth. The scientists would like to measure it, the analytical mind, measure it, weigh it, explain it. What rubbish. What a rubbish. What are all these scientists? If I take them to a clairvoyant and it says to the scientist, you are going to, in 2 months' time, do so-and-so, 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 and that's going to happen, and there's going to be a death in 3 months' time, and you're going to be very despairing. Well, what's the scientist doing examining mesons and microns and all the rest of it when such a thing is possible because he finds out it's true? What the hell is he doing examining all the rest of the material rubbish when such a thing is possible for someone to see into the future and tell him what's going to happen to him? Surely that's a thing that's worth investigating. Surely if somebody comes here and listens to me, surely that's worth investigating. Where do you get your knowledge, man? Where's it coming from? I say it's coming from a stillness and a love of God. And then what is this God? Well, I will tell you about what this God is. I can tell you everything you want to know about God and life and truth and death. Isn't that miracle enough for you? Wouldn't you like to investigate that in yourself? Because I can only show you the way, but you must do it in yourself. But you want to burrow into matter outside of you. You want to burrow into the atoms of the table. You want to burrow into the sky, which you can't really see except through your instruments. You want to burrow into botany. You want to burrow into everything outside yourself. You know everything outside yourself, but you do not know yourself. Isn't that a tragedy? For I know myself. That is the secret. I know myself. And therefore in knowing myself, I am the Lord. I am the God. I have the access to that knowledge. So you see, scientists, how ridiculous their endeavour is. How utterly, because it's second thing first. Surely what we are doing here is first. But then this is the most unpopular thing on earth. Obviously. Isn't it? Wherever you go, there's so many more popular things to do. The scientist is more popular. Everything's more popular than the going into the spirit within me to discover my own reality. I always want to burrow into something else outside of me. Right, so what was I talking about? Channels, right. Here's Manessa's experience. So we don't know. We just don't know what the truth is. And if someone says, as my last master said, who came to teach me for 6 weeks and then disappeared, ETI, disappeared, said, well, if you tell me you've been to Moscow, I'm not going to doubt you. Right? You stated, I, the spirit, entered Barry Long's body when he was 30 years old and have been with him ever since. Is that as channels? How is this different in principle from Manessa's experience or what spiritual healers say they do? Well, you listen to how I speak. You listen to my vast and great knowledge of love and God and truth and life and death. And you listen to channelers and you see the difference. I am responsible here to the people in this body. I am what I am in this body. A channeler goes into some sort of dreadful unconsciousness, a trance, and then some entity, which couldn't do it when it was in the body, some entity starts to take over this body in this trance and then starts to speak about all these holy things through it. Whereas it has no body and it takes over some other bodies, which is an arch irresponsibility. I am what I am. I am responsible to the people, to you, and you can question me. But you can't question those entities because they don't have any body, because they don't have any responsibility. They couldn't do it when they were here, and all they do is hang around trying to find somebody to try to do it when they're not here. Channelers. They're all rubbish. Because what is the truth? Have you ever heard a channeler say this? There is only one truth, and it is the being in you, and it is there now, and it is beautiful and true. And anyone who says they do not love it is a fool, and there it is. And if you ever think again, then you will be unhappy. So stop your thinking. And if you keep feeling like you do, then you will always be unhappy. Give up your feelings, give up your thought, and then you will be nothing, and then you will realize the truth. And so you've read that in my interview with Andrew Cohen's What is Enlightenment pinned up on the board in there, where I say, and they can't believe it. They just can't believe it. You know, the editor couldn't believe it. He's saying that enlightenment is not thinking and not feeling. That's what he said about in the interview that I was saying. Enlightenment is no thought and no feeling. He just can't relate to it. None of them can, because they're not enlightened. Because enlightenment is no thought and no feelings. I have no feelings. I have sensation and I have knowledge. That's all I have. I have no feelings. Because if I had feelings, I'd be unhappy, wouldn't I? All feelings give unhappiness. Joy, as you've read in there, and I try to tell them, is a sensational knowledge. And it has no opposite. It's just sensational. It's not a feeling. But we are so indoctrinated by these silly teachers, by all the rubbish that you've learnt. We are so indoctrinated to feel everything that we really believe our feelings are true. And yet every feeling that you have is untrue. I don't care what you feel. It's untrue and it won't last. It'll change tomorrow or it'll change in half an hour's time, and you will feel differently again. You will feel as sick and tired of yourself today. You'll feel that you're a dull student. You'll feel that you're terrible. You're so slow. And tomorrow, on a lovely day, you'll feel, oh, isn't it beautiful? How beautiful it is. It's all past. Of course it did, because it was a feeling. It was negative. All your feelings are rubbish, crap. But nobody in the world can get it, because everybody's still living off their feelings. That's how new it is. And that for the rest of my life, as I say, I will be showing the people to give up their feelings. their most treasured possessions, their unhappiness. So you better be ready for that if you stay with me. We're getting rid of the unhappiness, we're going into the good, the right and the true, and there you're going to discover that the good, the right and the true is not a feeling. It's a knowledge. It's a sensational, meaning I've got a sensory body, nobody can deny that. A sensational knowledge, a knowledge that rises out of my sensation and says that it is good, it is love, it is joy, it is beauty, it is rightness. All those facets that have done not feelings. Because if you feel anything about them, you will get like all that sannyasin lot throwing themselves around, screaming. They get the feeling of love and they scream it out and they dance and they do all this sort of thing. And all they're doing is feeling their self and their unhappiness, for tomorrow they cry again. So elated by the death of the master that they all sing and dance. And if you meet them, they're in the throes of unhappiness and emotional discontent next day, next week, because they cannot hold it, because they live off their feelings. Stop feeling, please, and start being. And in being there is knowledge, a most precious thing that there is. First you have to go through feelings, then you've got to give up your feelings. What have I got left then? I have knowledge. Pleasure itself, which is a sensational and also a selfish thing, is pleasure. Selfish as well as sensational. You go through pleasure and pleasure turns eventually into knowledge. So that you don't have any feelings of pleasure anymore because it's turned into beauty, knowledge. So pleasure turns into beauty eventually, and you don't need the feelings of pleasure anymore, because the feelings of pleasure lead you up into excitement, and then of course what goes up has to go down and you come into depression. Whereas equilibrium is, I do not get excited about anything. I do not look forward to anything. I am now, and I have seen nothing to get excited about in this entire life. I do see astounding and wonderful things, but I don't have to get excited about it. I can be amazed at the wonder of God and the miracles that happen around me, but amazement is not excitement. I'm just amazed at the wonder. And to be in true amazement is to be very still and to say, isn't that astounding? Isn't that amazing? Still, not this throwing yourself around, screaming, pretending, because somebody told you that that was the thing to do. So be still and know that I am God in them. It still applies. All right, so...
Sorry, just if I may say, as I'm sitting here, I suddenly see an image of you as a pilot. We are in a spaceship, traveling at an enormous speed to inner space.
So Ruth says that suddenly sitting here, I see you as a pilot in a spaceship, and we're all here sitting here travelling at enormous speed.
And it grows up in me that you're doing a magnificent job as our pilot.
And it rose up in me that you're doing a magnificent job as a pilot. Well, is that the truth? I mean, is it the truth? Or are we going to believe some scientist saying, well, you're all sitting here on the chair and he's just talking about it? Aren't we travelling at great speed? Aren't we travelling into the unknown? You know, I like that image, and someone quoted it to me yesterday, which I used to mention in the cosmic consciousness talks that sometimes I used to give, seminars, in which, I think I've mentioned it here, but I'll mention it again, in which all of us are bound to the earth. We are actually bound to the earth by gravity. And that gravity is our unhappy attachment to the things of the world and the things of the earth. And the idea is that we have to get into the cosmos. We just got to get free of the earth, because we are cosmic beings. We are earthlings for the pro tem, for the time being, but really we are cosmic beings. Cosmic being is just another word for ETI, extraterrestrial intelligence. Anything that's extraterrestrial is cosmic, right? And cosmic means an intelligence that's just impossible to describe in our earthly terms because we are so unhappy. And all our intelligence here is towards self-serving. We gather money, we gather possessions, we gather children. We're always gathering things, objects and things, and we serve ourselves. Now, cosmic intelligence begins by not serving yourself, by giving up yourself and starting to withdraw from your attachment to yourself and all its objects of devotion and those things and sentiment. You've got to withdraw from that. And that is the way where you get enough speed, because a rocket has to reach the speed of 25,000 miles an hour, it is said, to get out of the gravity of the earth. And that symbolizes in the spirit where we are what has to be done here. We have to reach a speed of 20, let's use the symbolism of it, beyond 25,000 miles per hour. Now, many of us in the spiritual life to begin with, we gather speed by being with particular masters and teachers, and we really undergo different changes through our life, and we get rid of some of ourselves, and we get a bit of speed, and we start to get off the ground, we get up 100 feet or so, and then the mind starts to think, look back, and the emotions start to pull, and the gravity of the situation. Oh, what about my mum? What about my dad? What about my possessions? And the mind starts working, and boom, down you come. And then as you go on with the spiritual life, you're able to get further and further up, and further up, higher and higher, and still you can come down, as you know. And you have those days when it's just not there, and you can't overcome the gravity, the pull of gravity, your attachment to the earth, your attachment to the world, your attachment to yourself. But eventually the idea is that you get rid of all your baggage and all your weight and are able to get up there with accelerated speed, which is only into the cone, as we've discussed, and you exceed the gravity of the earth. Now, it is very important as you exceed the gravity of the earth and therefore go towards the moon, which is outside the gravity of the earth, or not outside, but on the edge of it, that you must not look back. If you look back, you'll start to lose your speed and start to descend, as I described the other day, back towards the world and the earth. Now, looking back is looking into the past. Looking back is having feelings that you're not sure what to do about your mother and father, feelings about sentimental, about past lovers, feelings about that. If you look back like that, even though you've got speed out of the gravity pull, you'll start to lose your speed by going back into the past. And you'll start to feel that you've lost something. You haven't really lost anything, because if that happens, it only means that there's a part of you that has not been adequately addressed yet. So it is right. But finally, you break through and you go what I call, you get to the moon. And you land on the moon. Now, when you land on the moon, you're so intent on walking around the moon to see what's on the other side that you no longer look back longingly at the earth. You don't longer have attached to your past. And that's somewhere in the region about getting it and living it, where you've got it, where you're free sailing. But then you've got to walk around the moon, and it's a good way around it, and you've got to get on the dark side of the moon. Now, from the earth you can never see the dark side of the moon. Only one side ever shows towards the earth. So no one has ever seen the dark side of the moon, except those fellows that go up in the spaceships. But from our point of view here, nobody's ever seen the dark side of the moon. So you've got to walk around the moon then and look out into the unknown. That means you've left all the desires for earth life behind, all the past attachments, and now you are looking into the unknown. And the unknown is space. And that's where we are traveling at great speed. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or don't believe it. You are traveling. When you are with me, it can become more apparent that you are travelling into something that is unknown, which is really called the equivalent of deep outer space, which is deep inner space, and you are going at great speed. Of course, if you weren't with me, you'd still be travelling. It wouldn't make any difference. Nothing makes any difference. You've got to travel according to your lights. What we think we're doing doesn't make any difference. You're still travelling if that is your lights and you have reached a point where you have sufficient speed to travel. So, usually those people find some teacher or master that helps them on their way. So the unknown is the unknown. It's deep inner space, which is represented by outer space, and the more closer you get to the heavens, as I said the other day, the stars and the heavens, the more they disappear, the greater space between, until you are all alone. And there's nothing else virtually in sight except these very few faint dots around of stars. And that's what it's like in the spirit, to be alone, but not to be lonely, to be utterly and completely alone, to be the only I in the universe, and yet to be complete in that. So that's what we're doing. And of course, when you get beyond the moon, you have less and less gravity from the earth, and you start to pick up speed more and more and more. And then it's effortless. And you just keep going into the unknown. Okay? Yeah, well, that's enough of that particular letter for now.